So let me start with something new. I have one giveaway, which is this phone. But I will give this phone to only one who owns this. Someone forget it at DhiWise booth. So please take it after this presentation. Whoever forget this phone. So it's always I start my presentation like in last 10 days I give a presentation to 1800 plus audience in a three different DevFest, and I always started with like nowadays only two people need a support from the other people. One is the one who is presenting like one is who presenting first time to the audience, and the one is who invested in the cryptocurrency. But after 3 sessions, like this is the 4th one, and now my confidence is like little bit climbing cryptocurrency prices the next year that we have. And still I'm waiting for my slides to be here. Okay, no worries. So I have 2 minutes to introduce myself. So let me introduce myself. The person who announced is, he put a lots of jargons like PLG and all those stuff. PLG is a product lead growth, and today's my presentation is going to be like that. But before that, I want to introduce myself in a little bit different way. And this is the most interesting part of my own presentation, to presenting myself, because I always started with a son of farmer, a person who graduated from GC Rajkot and started his company in 2013. So I'm not ex-Google, ex-Flipkart, ex-Amazon. I am ex of my ex, started my company directly after the graduation, and started my company directly after the graduation in 2013. Then one fine day in 2021 April, which is like just before 20 months, लोग बोलते मुझे पागल कुत्ते ने काट लिया. And I wind up my service business of 150 developers, and I started DhiWise because life में कुछ fun चाहिए था. So I started product company by winding up the entire service company, and I did DhiWise. DhiWise is a DevTool company, as he mentioned, scale from 0 users to 40,000 users. We process more than 500,000 screens on DhiWise platform to convert into code, and delivered ultimately a 4 to 5 million man hours of productivity till now. Still it's free of cost. Why it's free of cost? We'll cover in the next slide. Yeah, this is me. Sometime I'm smiling. जब fund नहीं मिलता है तब I'm crying. But वो pic यहाँ पे रख नहीं सकता हूँ. Yeah. If you have any questions specific to startups, how to take a risk, how to come out of a comfort zone, how to put yourself in a very big risk of winding up your growing business, you can feel free to reach out to me. कि life में सब सही चल रहा है, कुछ कांड करना है. In that case, I will give you much better advice than anyone else. Can I start now? Sorry for the technical glitches. This is the best word that I ever used in my life. Sir, server down है. Sir, बस हो ही गया था. बस we are uploading on server. अभी तक साला समझ में नहीं आया सर्वर पे अपलोड करने में इतना टाइम क्यों जाता है जब आपने अपनी वेबसाइट पे CI/CD लिख के रखा हुआ है. When you are selling something, you ask your clients like, we are doing everything. And this is the best part of my presentation. I can correlate with the new venture of Paresh. He started his service company. Service company में होता क्या है? At the end requirements आती है. ये at the end moment requirement change हो जाती है. मेरे साथ क्या मैं बताता हूँ. आप लोगों ने मेरी PPT में पढ़ा होगा. I am going to present on the pro code. बाद में Paresh is like client for me. बोले यार प्रो कोड में मजा नहीं आएगा, लेट्स डू समथिंग एल्स. ही चेंज माय एंटायर टॉपिक एट द लास्ट मोमेंट, एंड देन आई रियलाइज लाइक ओके नाउ आई एम इन अ सिटी व्हिच इज नोन फॉर देयर सर्विसेज, एंड एट द एंड मोमेंट दे चेंज द रिक्वायरमेंट्स. ही पुट माय एंटायर प्रेजेंटेशन, लेट्स टॉक अबाउट द फ्यूचर ऑफ डेवटूल. व्हाई? मजा आता है. हम क्लाइंट को पूछते हैं ना कि यार ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है, बोले बस मजा नहीं आ रहा है, कुछ और दिखाओ. अब यार अब तो चालू कर दो, मेरे जितने भी जोक थे वो खत्म हो गए. नाउ आई एम रनिंग आउट ऑफ स्टॉक. After charging a lots of money as a sponsor, he don't believe in the promotional talks. Yeah, I can correlate it. बेटा अभी तुम जो वहां पे करके आए हो ना, आपको पता है स्पीकर के सामने यहाँ पे घड़ी होती है, और वो भी नहीं देखते ना, तो यहाँ पे एक आगे बैठा होता है जो उंगली करते रहता है स्पीकर की, आपका टाइम आउट है, आपका टाइम आउट है. ये भाई साहब का प्रेजेंटेशन था, वो 10 मिनट लंबा खींच के चले आए. वो घड़ी नहीं देखते हैं, उसको कोई उंगली करने वाला होता नहीं. क्यों? क्योंकि खुद ऑर्गेनाइजर है. if it takes more time, then we'll figure out something. हाँ, अभी परेश ने लेट किया तो उसी पे जोक क्रेक करते हैं। परेश ने आज मॉर्निंग में एक अच्छी स्लाइड प्रेजेंट की विद द इंट्रोडक्शन, चीफ एवरीथिंग ऑफिसर। मैंने सोचा ये तो मैंने कहीं देखा हुआ लग रहा है, एंड देन आई रियलाइज उसने मेरी लिंक्डइन प्रोफाइल से उठा के सबके सामने प्रेजेंट कर दिया कि मैं प्रेजेंट नहीं कर पाऊँ। I have a copyright on that chief everything officer. और strategically he put my presentation at last क्योंकि वो word use कर पाए। Then I realized कि GDG पुणे, AWS पुणे सब में तो पहला talk मिला था। Why I got last in GDG Ahmedabad? Because he wants to use that word, chief everything officer. या फाइनली बस लास्ट रिलीज चल रहा है हमारा, अभी लाइव हो जाएगा। थोड़ा सा यूजर डेटा मर्ज वर्ज सब सेट कर लेते हैं हम, एंड वी विल से लाइक वी आर गुड टू गो लाइव। या डन, फाइनली प्रोडक्शन रिलीज हो चुका है। ऑडियंस आप अंदर आ जाओ, मतलब मैं पहली बार सेलिब्रिटी जैसा फील करूं, लोग ऐसे भरे पड़े हुए, आ जाओ पीछे आ जाओ। सो माय एंटायर प्रेजेंटेशन इज ऑन future of DevTools, trends and opportunities for the startup. We are Gujaratis, we believe in numbers, we believe in revenue, and in next 30 minutes I'm going to create the Mayavi dunya for you. हजारों करोड़ों के revenues, numbers, why you need to do a DevTool startup, what is the future of the DevTool startup. So believe me, please put your 100% focus on this next slides, the few slides, because I'm going to talk like lots of numbers is going to be undigestible, overwhelming for lots of people. But why I picked this topic today instead of in promotional talk of DhiWise, because we all are developers here. And before 18-20 months, we took one decision which goes really well. And I want to share why that decision was successful instead of any other startup. So I'm going to talk about that particular part. Right now, as a developers, we are building a lots of things we are using lots of DevTools in our day-to-day life. Do you know how much DevTools we consume in a year? Anyone? In terms of in revenue, okay, how many of you don't know DevTools? DevTools क्या है, किसको नहीं पता है? सबको ही पता है। हम कितने $million के DevTools परचेस करते हैं एज अ डेवलपर कम्युनिटी? डू यू नो, एनीवन नो अबाउट दिस? Just $42 billion. In a year, we consume $42 billion of DevTools to automate our work, to make easier our work, and my entire presentation is going to be on that. The second part is right now the market is such trending, we know what is the value of developers. So right now this is the perfect market to choose any DevTool as your career path or as a startup. Why, how, and I'm going to talk about those particular parts in the next slides. So as I said, like why this topic is important, right now there is a need of 100 million developers and we are just 30 millions. And before that, whenever you do any kind of a startup, you need to know which hill you are climbing. So ultimately, मुझे startup करना है. Everyone wants to do a startup because startups generating a really good value. Laptops मिलते हैं, MacBook मिलते हैं, Goa offsite होती है. हमने जोक भी सुने. मतलब मैं आज literally AWS में भी हमारा वो था. मेरा एक co-founder वहाँ पे चेयर पे बैठा था. पीछे लोग बात कर रहे हैं, DhiWise वालों के पास बहुत पैसे हैं. मतलब कुछ भी कर रहे हैं. So startup is really like that. You got a lots of money if your idea is good. But whenever you are doing the startup, you need to figure out which hill to climb. So ultimately, यहाँ से everyone is okay. How many of you are not comfortable with the Gujarati? हाँ, चलो 4 लोगों ने मेरा दिन बना दिया आज का. ठीक है. गिरनार चढ़ने के बाद ऐसी फील आती है कि हमने दुनिया में कुछ अचीव कर लिया है. अगर आप गिरनार क्लाइम करते हो जूनागढ़ में जाके, तो आपको ऐसी फील आती है कि मैंने कुछ जिंदगी में उखाड़ लिया है. सही हो यार, लाइफ में तुम. नाउ आई रियलाइज लाइक वी आर द सॉर्टेड पब्लिक. हमको कंफर्ट जोन से बाहर निकलना ही नहीं है. आपने मेरे जोक की बैंड बजा दी पूरी. सो गिरनार इज नॉट द हिल टू क्लाइम, you need to pick your hill. एवरेस्ट चढ़ते हो तब लगता है कि यार हमने लाइफ में कुछ किया है. We climb the mountain which is having the kind of an importance. So whenever you do any kind of a startup is a kind of a problem that you are solving for someone else, but it needs to be a problem. So whenever you are picking a problem to do your own startup, you need to define like okay how big this problem is. तो वो गिरनार और हिमालय वाला डिफरेंस वहां पे आता है. अगर आप छोटा प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व आउट करो, डेफिनेटली देयर इज अ लेस चांस you will be successful in that startup. But if you are working on a very big problem, then there is a very high chance you will build a really good startup in your life. And there is a lots of VCs. So as in introduction he mentioned, there are lots of VCs who invest in DevTools. There is a huge market. There is a lots of thesis going on. If you read, you will get to know about that. So this is the right time to do a DevTools startup, and that's why my topic is this. So these are some of the data, like 70% of the developer lead companies create the DevTools. Why this is most important? Because as a developer we always have a question. यार मुझे e-commerce नहीं पता है, मुझे logistic company नहीं पता है, and I want to do a startup. How I will do it? मुझे sales करना तो बिल्कुल भी अच्छा नहीं लगता, because by heart I am a developer. So what you can do, you can figure out one particular problem that you face in your daily life, which is specific to a programmer or specific to developers, DevOps or whatever. And then figure out how big that market is. If that market is big enough, how to figure out that market, there is a lots of tactics and all. But ultimately, if you are solving problem for the developers, it's easy for you to build that particular product. You need not to have a knowledge of any external markets or anything. And because you are building for the developers, it's very easy to sell, or you can easily push it to the community. So that's why as a developer you can do a DevTools startup. Now, why DevTools startup coming into trend? पहले e-commerce था, Flipkart बनी, Walmart बना, काफी अच्छे e-commerce company बनी. But now why suddenly developers? The first thing is increasing cloud adoption, because right now everyone is trying anything on the web and SaaS platform. Second is shift of top-down buying notion to bottoms-up. So what does it mean? अभी तक कितने लोगों को पोस्टमैन में से कॉल आया है कि can you please buy our tool? किसी को पोस्टमैन के सेल्स पर्सन से कोई कॉल आया ये हॉल में पूरे 500-600 लोगों में से? कभी नहीं आया. कभी ईमेल आया है कि प्लीज बाय अवर टूल? नो. व्हाई? Because they believe in a bottoms-up approach. What is a top-down approach? Where you call someone to force your selling, like okay, please buy it out, we have these features, we have that features. And where in bottoms-up approach, you start using that particular product at a certain time. Your CTO, if you are owner and you know like my 5 people are particularly using this tool, and if I buy this out, I will get the high value. So let's say Postman, all the clients are Fortune 500 companies. So they don't need to sell their product. They create the developers love, and developers by default adopt that particular platform. Same like let me take a very simple example, Netflix. अभी तक Netflix के सब्सक्रिप्शन के लिए किसी को कॉल आया है? You tried it for a month, you liked it, and you buy it. So that's the bottoms-up approach, where you don't need a sales team, where your product speaks itself. So because of that bottoms-up approach, adoption of a bottoms-up approach is really in trend. If you look at the data, there is lots of data available, and there is billions of dollars consuming through a bottoms-up approach, and that's why DevTool is in trend. Second, developers like to try out tools. हमको मजा बहुत आता है नई नई चीजें क्यों उंगली करने का. हम पाइथन में वो बेचारा सेल्स वाला सेट करके बैठा है, उत्पल बेटा को सबसे ज्यादा पता होगा कि अब मेरे पाइथन में क्लाइंट आना स्टार्ट हुए, डेवलपर्स आके बोलते हैं सर ब्लॉकचेन ट्रेंड कर रहा है, ब्लॉकचेन में प्रोजेक्ट लेके आओ. वो बोलते हैं काम करो मेन्यू लेके आओ, अब बोलो ऑर्डर लेके आता हूँ. So developers try lots of things to try it out, and that's why if you have a good tool, if you have a good product, it's very easy to penetrate into market because of that developers behavior. So these are the 3 key things. Because of that, DevTool startups are trending in the market right now. Developers are kings as well as queens. I don't want to go in that feminism mode. So developers are kings and queens. Now, who don't believe in this? Ask any CTO, anyone around you who is hiring. They said they are more precious than the diamonds. Right now, maybe you will get discounted diamonds, but not the developers. So in last 2-3 years, developers are like precious commodity. And as I said, world need 100 million developers, and we just have 30 millions. अब होता क्या है कि हमारे में IT कंपनीज में बैकएंड और फ्रंट एंड का लव अफेयर चलता रहता है. शादी भी होगी, बच्चे भी होंगे, लेकिन उसको भी प्रोडक्शन में आने के लिए 20-25 ईयर्स लगेंगे। बहुत टैलेंटेड बच्चा होगा, बाइजू से मैं कुछ करेगा वाइट हेट में, तो शायद 15 साल में आ जाए, बट स्टिल टू रीच एट द 100 मिलियन मार्क इज गोइंग टू बी टफ। कितना भी बैक एंड फ्रंट एंड डेवऑप्स का अफेयर हो जाए तो भी 30 rest of the 70 million developers can't be possible within the few years. That's why everyone is moving in the direction of an automation. How I can reduce the developer's work, how I can reduce that mundane and the repetitiveness of that particular developer's life, so I can make my developers more productive. Even developers don't want to work on that repetitive things, and that's why the adoption of developers is really good. And just because of that supply demand issue, right now if you are building a dev tool where you are solving the real problem of a developer, there is a high chance you can build a successful startup. Yeah. Now as I said, like there will be a huge numbers which is undigestible. कितने लोगों ने MongoDB यूज किया है? वाह। कितने लोगों को पता हो कि $30 बिलियन की कंपनी बन जाएगी एक दिन, जो ओपन सोर्स आप मुफ्त में घिसते हो दम लगा के, उसमें भी एटलासियन वो MongoDB एटलास बेचने के लिए आता है। We don't need, we have a person to install. $30 billion company created by the MongoDB. That's the current valuation that they have in the developer space. Everyone using the Atlassian? सब लोग मॉर्निंग में गाली देते हो, ये टिकट मेरा नहीं था किसी और का था और मेरे पास आ गया है। कभी फ्लाइट के टिकट के लिए भी ऐसा बोल दो कि अरे किसी और का था, मुझे गोवा की ट्रिप दे दी। They created $37 billion company. I'm talking about this number after market crash. I'm not talking about the 2021 number. This is the current number. They started in 2015. They went public. They started with the $21 per share valuation. Right now it's at $139. अगर सिर्फ हम एटलासियन ले लेना तो अहमदाबाद की सब, सूरत, गुजरात, सब आईटी सर्विसेज कंपनी को डाल देना तो भी हम एटलासियन की वैल्यू के साथ नहीं जा सकते। एंड दे हैव द लेस डेवलपर्स। दिस इज इन पावर व्हेन यू आर सेलिंग टू डेवलपर्स। द सेम वे GitHub जो मुफ्त में घिसते हैं, इट गॉट एक्वायर्ड बाय $7.5 बिलियन बाय द माइक्रोसॉफ्ट। ट्विलियो हमारे लिए तो सिर्फ वो मैसेज और नोटिफिकेशन भेजने की सर्विस है। They created a company which started with a $15 per share, and right now they are at the $47 per share. Again, multi-billion dollar. Stripe, payment gateway, $95 billion company. हमने अभी तक पेमेंट गेटवे बना के अपने क्लाइंट्स को ही दिए हैं। These are the people who make the money. And these are how they are make the money, because we give them a services. We build a tool for them. So that's why I'm trying to give you that sense, like feel the power of a developers. If you are building something really great right now, it's a market that you can tap. Now let's talk about the company which has a valuation of more than $1 billion, which is like 8,000 crore. We just talk about the Postman, am I right? Free में देता है, बस they have the just valuation of $6 billion, 48,000 crore. It's like they are having the 200 people team. कुछ लोग बेंगलोर में बैठते हैं, कुछ लोग यूएस में बैठते हैं, बस हम फ्री में यूज करते हैं पोस्टमैन, and they just have a $48 billion of 48,000 crore of valuation. These are the few numbers. Databricks $38 billion, Netscope 8, Fivetran 6, HashiCorp $5 billion, Grafana, इसको भी हम ओपन सोर्स यूज करते हैं कि सर्वर डाउन है कि नहीं है. They are just making a valuation of $3 billion. How many of you are using the browser stack? Great. Do you know browser stack reached the $10 million of annual recurring revenue? When we say the annual recurring revenue, every year they are getting $10 million in their account. When they were two people team, both the founders built the company from the from the cafe, and they have the $10 million revenue when they launched. And right now it's at $4 billion. The founder is from Surat. I know him personally. At the Series A, they raised $50 million. Believe me, in a 6 year, both the founders took $40 million at their home. They bought flat of 60 crore rupees in a just 5 years to 6 years of their entrepreneurial life. हम यहाँ पे वो गेम में होते हैं, मेरे पास 1000 डेवलपर्स है, मेरे पास 500 डेवलपर्स है, मेरे पास 2000 डेवलपर्स है. And what you build? A company for someone else. I'm not, as I said, I'm not taking, don't take it personally. I'm just trying to say like this is a power of developer tools that you already use, and we are not able to do a startup because we already have in that sense कि यार मुझे पता नहीं है कि इसको सेल्स कैसे करते हैं, मुझे किसी और इंडस्ट्री का नॉलेज नहीं है, but you know about the developer space, you know about that particular knowledge. So this is the right time where either you can think about join any DevTool company or you can start your own. How does the landscape look like? Periodic table सबने देखा है? This is a periodic table of our DevTool space. A company that you use, the tool that you use every day, ranging from AI to cloud to deployment services, Atlassian, AWS, Firebase, GitHub, NPM, these are the tools whom we paid $42 billion every year, and which is growing crazily. ये न्यू पीरियोडिक टेबल है फॉर द डेवलपर्स. दिस इज अ डेवलपर टूल लैंडस्केप ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. आई एम नॉट एबल टू कवर एंटायर ऑल द कंपनीज, बट दिस इज द पीरियोडिक टेबल फॉर अस. But now the question is, data तो सब सही है, $42 billion भी बोल दिया, but how do you build DevTool startup? How you can build it? What you should focus on? So there is a three things that you must focus on if you want to build a DevTool startup. The first is your core pillars, business tactics, and technical moat. So when we say the core pillars, so the best motivation in the world is scratching your own itch. As I said, as a developer, you know the pain, you know the stuff that you can build on, that is the day-to-day problem of every developers. So try to build your core focus area where you can build that particular tech and you can solve the problem of a bigger community. बाद में DevTool बना के ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए वो आपके फ्रेंड का और आपका ही प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व आउट करता हो. ये जिराफ का टिकट कैसे गायब कर दे. I heard one news, I don't know it is right or not, one developer built a tool which he called a DevTool. उसने क्या किया कि अभी ये सब आपके माउस के उस पे पॉइंटर्स पे आपका टाइम ट्रैक करते हैं. सो ही बिल्ड अ टूल कि वो पॉइंटर पूरा घूमता रहना चाहिए, कि मेरे एचआर को पता नहीं चलना चाहिए कि मैं काम कर रहा हूँ कि नहीं कर रहा हूँ. एचआर कितना भी स्मार्ट हो जाए, हम तो ऐसे DevTool बनाएंगे कि हमारा प्रॉब्लम सॉर्ट आउट हो जाए. सो डोंट बिल्ड सच काइंड ऑफ एन DevTool. सेकेंड थिंग, डू नॉट बिल्ड अ प्रोडक्ट on the lack of features of other product. So let's say मैंने काफी लोगों को ये करते हुए देखा है कि पोस्टमैन में gRPC का सपोर्ट नहीं है. So I will build the support of gRPC. पोस्टमैन को करने के लिए सिर्फ 2 महीने चाहिए. So do not build any product anytime. It's a DevTool or any other product just on the lack of someone else feature. Atlassian ये नहीं देता है तो I will create that particular product. It will never go successful for sure. हाँ, there will be an exception. तो कोई आ सकता है कि मैंने बना लिया. But if you want to build a unicorn company, if you want to build a company with an 8,000 crore of valuation, build product on the real problem, not on the features. So this is the first core pillar that you need to figure it out. Don't build a product on features. Build a product on a problem, और वो problem कितना बड़ा है that you need to figure it out. Second part is the business tactics. So you need to learn few rules of the game. GTM कैसे होता है, market sizing कैसे होता है, how to pitch to the VCs and all those stuff. And the third part is the technical moat. As I said, like don't build the product on someone else lack of the features. Create your own moat, और वो moat इतना बड़ा होना चाहिए. So it's a uniqueness. वो uniqueness आपको market penetrations में help करनी चाहिए. Like जब browser stack बना, the very simple story, everyone having that kind of in pain of in QA and all, so they built the real problem, the product on the real pain, real problem. So without marketing, they were able to generate $10 million of ARR. So if you have your own uniqueness and moat, there is a high chance you can build a good startup. Now, how it's correlated to DhiWise? As I said, we were a service company before, and then we turned the entire service company into product, which is in DevTool. Again, product करना था, क्या करे वो नहीं पता था. So we figure out like okay, this is the problem कि पूरी लाइफ हमारी रेड बटन को ग्रीन बटन को रेड बटन करने में निकली है. और डिजाइनर अपने को फिग्मा फाइल सेंड करता है, 56 बटन की विड्थ होती है, डेवलपर करता है 50 पिक्सल का. बाद में बोलता है दिस इज 56, हाउ यू कैन कीप 50 पिक्सल. और डेवलपर बोलता है यार इसमें रियली 6 पिक्सल का डिफरेंस पता चलता है. So we spend lots of time in doing all this designer developer handoff, lots of time on the repetitive, and then we realize 60% of the program is mundane and the repetitive. So we pick that particular problem for the front end and the mobile engineering, and we build product on that. This is the biggest question that every time I got it, like what is the meaning of DhiWise? And ये type की conference में आते हैं ना, तब हमको अलग अलग meaning जानने को मिलते हैं. Someone said today it's DhiWise. मैंने बोला दही बड़ा ही बोल देता भाई. DhiWise करने से तो अच्छा था. So that's why I put this slide. It's not related to DevTool, but I always need to clear this out. So it's DhiWise. One fine day when we try to figure out the alternative of intelligent. So ultimately we want to create the intelligent brain of a developer who can never say no and can always work with him. So we were trying to figure out the alternative of intelligent, और हर बार हम लोग जाते हैं Indian, लेकिन origin ढूंढते Greek word में. So instead of that we pick Sanskrit, and then we got to know कि जो हम गायत्री मंत्र बोलते हैं धीमहि धियो यो, that dhi means intelligence, intellect, notion, design. There is a multiple meaning. You can search it on Google. So that's where we pick dhi, and wise means to be knowledgeable. So that's how we want to build a company from Surat for the world, for the SF and everyone, which is ahead than the SF technologies. And that's why we keep Sanskrit and English together, and that's how we come up with the name of Dhi plus Wise, DhiWise. So it's not DhiWise. Now, as I said, like this is a number games. So we built 255 crore valuation Devtool after closing down our service company within just 18 months, or I can say from last January to till in the August. So within the 6 months, we were able to reach at the valuation of 255 crore in just 18 months. So we were able to understand those number games that I presented to you, and how we build it, just focusing on the three things. Focusing on the real problem of developers that I already told to you. The second thing you already experienced at our booth. Second thing is of for by the developers. So when we were building that particular company, so in morning when there is a sponsor call out, they said it's a no-code platform. We proudly say it's not a no-code platform. It's not a low-code problem. It's a pro-code platform. We want to keep it bro-code, but bro-code set nahi ho raha tha, so we keep it a pro-code. So what is the pro-code? It's purely for the developers. Our entire idea is not to replace the developers, because all the low-code and no-code platform is trying to replace the developers. Their entire aim is like the people who don't know the programming, they can build the software. Our entire philosophy is, if you are not a developer, you are not the target audience for us. Don't try our tool, because you cannot able to understand anything. So that's how we want to create another category that we call the pro-code platform, which is of the developers, for the developers, and by the developers. So ultimately we are trying to solve the problem of a core developers. We want to empower them so they can work like in, as I said, there is a difference between 30 million developers and 100 million developers. So by giving that pro-code platform, we want to solve that particular problem. So the problem was there, the need is there, and we know how to build the solution. So we picked that particular area with the theme. We want to just build it for the developers. And third thing is key focus on the communities. As I said, we are very bad in the sales. We don't know how to sell it to millions of people. So developers are the only community where they help each other. And that's why without spending any money on the marketing, our core focus is on the developer, communities and all. We are not spending anything for these 40,000 users. We don't have any marketing. You will never find any ads on Google, Facebook, anywhere else. We are just focusing on, from the last January to till now, we got these developers without spending anything on the marketing. Ultimate aim is to get the community right and get the perfect feedback from the developers, and our entire focus is on them only. What is DhiWise? You already know, so briefly explain. You can build your program very quickly. You just need to code that really matters to you, which is your business logic and algorithms and everything. There is zero dependency. So always when you are building a dev tool, developers do not like to give up on their freedom and the flexibility. So when we are generating the source code on DhiWise platform, we keep that thing in mind. There is no any DhiWise dependent package. There is nothing which will make you dependent on DhiWise. So if we shut down tomorrow, you don't have any problem, because you already have your code in your Git repository. So we try to create zero dependency in our tool, and amazing DX. Developers ko UI UX बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं आता है. They have their own things. The black screen, small font, जिसमें वो ऐसे दिखता रहता है. That's we call the developer experience. So without hampering a developer experience, without hampering the developer behavior, we are trying to automate their work. And that's why we are able to successfully penetrate it to 40,000 users. So while you are building a dev tool, these things you need to keep in mind. A developer experience is must. It's not about UI UX, it's about the developer experience if you are building a dev tool startup. That's it from my side. I'm still learning, so if you have any hard question, please don't ask me. I can take a few questions if you have any, like if I can answer it. If I don't have the answer, I will clearly say no. I will not bluff it out. So if you have any questions, raise your hand. I will take 2-3 questions. Yes. Can you please pass the mic?
Check.
Yeah, we checked. वो मेरे presentation के पहले करना था आपको. Just kidding.
I guess Flutter Flow is something similar to this. Like, so how is this different than Flutter Flow? So like, why we should choose this over Flutter Flow?
Okay. Really good question. You don't need to choose anything over a Flutter Flow or any competitor. I respect every competition. The two things, developers do not like to do a drag and drop. If you are building a serious application, you always have a Figma files. Like you always receive the Figma file from the UI UX designer. So that's the first thing. Second thing, you need to use a Flutter Flow components only. And if you generate the code, you will look, there is a lots of dependency on their own libraries and the structure. Where when DhiWise is generating the source code, it's clean code architecture, Flutter 3 and the source code and everything is up to the mark. So you can just compare the source code quality that is generated by the Flutter Flow and us, and then you can decide which code quality you need to prefer.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, there is one more question.
Hello, my name is Chirag and I am working as a Python developer at a gift city, Gandhinagar. And I am basically from Surat, so I want to know the location where the DhiWise is located.
It's on Google Map, just search it out.
Thank you.
Right now, I will take only 2 max question because I'm the devil behind your goodies bag and you. So I need to wind it up quickly क्योंकि कुछ लोग गाली दे रहे होंगे. तो अपना बकवास बंद कर, अपने को goodies bag में ज़्यादा interest है. The last. So after this, only one question. Otherwise, you can reach out to me on my Twitter or LinkedIn. Yeah, वो promotion करना रह गया. परेश ने बोला था इसको promote करना. You will get some followers. अभी तुम्हारे को कोई follow नहीं करता है. मेरे booth में देखा 2 लड़कियों के Twitter handles ले रहे थे. मैं as a co-founder बाजू में बैठा था. कोई मुझे पूछ भी नहीं रहा था. मुझे यार लड़कों की यही औकात रह गई अभी.
Hello, myself Krunal Doshi. I'm asking what is your revenue model for this DhiWise?
Really good thing. I missed that particular part. So we got lots of questions. Why are you giving free of cost and up to what time? So as I said, we got the 255 crore valuation. So we have enough money in our account to give this tool free of cost for the next 5 years. But definitely we are not going to do it. It will be free of cost for the community. It will be lifetime free forever for all the community members. We are going to charge enterprise at some time. But maybe after 6 months or a year, we don't have any plan at this moment. But whenever we launch the plan, this is specifically for the enterprises and the agencies. Whenever we launch the plan, we have one benchmark. Whenever we were able to provide the 10x of ROI of whatever we are charging. So let's say if we are charging 1 rupee, we'll make sure you are getting the benefit of 10 rupees minimum. So whenever we are at that kind of a benchmark, then we will launch our pricing model. Till that, it's free of cost. And for the community, it's going to be lifetime free forever, same like an Postman.
Okay, thank you.
फ्री वाली चीजों में अपने को बहुत मजा आता है. अब तक मैं वो चिल्ला के बोल रहा था इतने $1 बिलियन का इंडस्ट्री है, सब सो रहे थे.
Thank you sir. Thank you so much.
भाई लास्ट क्वेश्चन कमिटमेंट था. परेश को बोलो, परेश को 10 मिनट उसने लेट करवाया है. सॉरी. Go ahead. Okay, मुझे लगा इनका ही क्वेश्चन है. That's why I'm stopping you. It's okay. चलो, thank you so much for being a good audience. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much, sir. Please be on stage, sir. Please. Thank you so much for sharing your insights about the DevTools. Hope in the next 2 years we will see more such speakers who will build their DevTools, and we will have a next round of DevTools in the stage.
Thank you.
कोई करोड़पति जोड़े पहली बार फोटो पड़ा है. One more.
सर एक मिनिट, अब હું બી કરોડપતિ સાથે ફોટો પડાવી લઉં એકવાર. Thank you, sir.
Just one thing, Crorepati is my company. So whenever we raise the fund, if you raise the fund ever, you will get this question. मेरे पापा मुझे फोन करके बोलते हैं यार 80 करोड़ रुपीस रेज किए तो घर का घर ले ले. मैंने बोला पापा वो तो कंपनी को मिले. पापा बोले कंपनी तो तेरी है. मैंने बोला ऐसा नहीं होता है तो कैसा होता है. So अभी तक as a like my father is doing the farming, so it's very hard question to answer कि ये फंड का तू करने क्या वाला है, तू घर क्यों नहीं ले रहा है. So if you raise the fund, be prepared with this answer.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.